My name is Mark Donovan. I'm 42 years old and I'm a systems analyst by trade. I've always been the quiet type, the guy who works behind the scenes, the one who spots problems before they become disasters. That's my specialty: anticipating failure, planning ahead, staying 3 steps in front of everyone else. For 12 years, I stood beside my wife, Claire. I believed in her vision, her dream of building something meaningful. She wanted to create an organic cosmetics brand called Pure Bloom. Natural ingredients, sustainable practices, ethical sourcing. It was a beautiful idea, and I wanted to help her make it real. So I did what any devoted partner would do. I quit my stable job at a software company where I was earning $78,000 a year. I invested $140,000 of my own savings into her business. I became the developer, the designer, the accountant, the strategist. I built the e-commerce platform from scratch. I handled inventory systems. I negotiated with suppliers. I worked 18-hour days while she focused on branding and marketing. I never asked for credit. I never demanded recognition. I just wanted us to succeed together. And we did succeed. After years of grinding, after countless sleepless nights and near bankruptcy scares, we finally landed the big one in early 2025. A $5 million contract with a major retail chain. $5 million. It was everything we'd worked for, everything I'd sacrificed for. I thought we'd celebrate together. I thought this was our victory. I was wrong. 2 days after we signed that contract, I received an email. No phone call, no face-to-face conversation. Just a cold, sterile email with no subject line. It read, "Mark, we need a break. The business requires a different dynamic now, and you being off the team is part of that. No hard feelings. No hard feelings." I sat there staring at my laptop screen. I read it once, then twice, then 3 times. I didn't scream. I didn't throw anything. I didn't even respond right away. I just archived the message and closed my laptop. If you enjoy stories of cold-blooded revenge and gripping plot twists like this video, and subscribe to the channel now. There are brand new unreleased stories here every day, each one more intense than the last. Claire had always been charismatic. She was a natural communicator, the face of the brand. But over the previous 6 months, she'd surrounded herself with new people. Specifically one person, Ethan Granger. Ethan was a so-called business coach, one of those guys who throws around buzzwords like synergy and disruptive innovation, while wearing expensive suits and posting motivational quotes on LinkedIn. I'd done my research on him. 3 failed startups, 2 bankruptcies, a trail of angry former business partners. But Claire was enchanted by him. Her public explanation for pushing me out was simple. Mark can't keep up with the pace of the company anymore. Translation: now that the money had arrived, she didn't need me anymore. But here's the thing about being a systems analyst. You learn to read patterns. You learn to see the warning signs before the crash happens. And I'd been seeing those signs for months. Claire's language had shifted. My project instead of our project. My team instead of our team. My access to the CRM system had been quietly limited. My suggestions in meetings were ignored or credited to someone else. My intuition had been screaming at me for weeks. Something was being orchestrated behind my back. So I'd prepared, quietly, methodically. All the code for the e-commerce platform existed in private repositories linked to my name. And there was something else Claire had forgotten about, something she'd dismissed as a technical detail. Months earlier, I had registered the Pure Bloom trademark, in my name, alone. And I still had the original partnership contract we'd signed when the business started back in 2013, notarized and dated, documenting my financial investment and my role as co-founder. When I dug deeper, I discovered the full extent of what was happening. Ethan had been helping Claire court international investors. They'd already drafted a new partnership agreement, one that completely erased my name from the company structure. They planned to use the $5 million contract as leverage, push me out, then sell a significant stake in Pure Bloom to outside investors. There was just one problem with their plan. The intellectual property for Pure Bloom belonged to me. I didn't act immediately. That's not how you win. Emotional reactions lead to mistakes, and I'd spent 12 years making sure this business had no vulnerabilities. I wasn't about to create one now by losing my composure. Instead, I spent 3 days reviewing everything, every contract, every document, every piece of code, every registration. I mapped out the entire business structure like I was debugging a system, looking for dependencies, identifying critical failure points. What I found was exactly what I needed. The website architecture, the payment processing through Stripe, the inventory management software, the automated email sequences through MailChimp, the logistics coordination platform. I had built every piece, and I controlled access to all of it. Claire had grown comfortable. She'd stopped asking how things worked. She just expected them to work. She posted on Instagram, met with buyers, did interviews, attended networking events. But she had no idea how to actually run the technical side of her own company. On day 4, I made my move. I didn't destroy anything. I didn't sabotage the systems. I simply revoked access. My access. I removed my administrative credentials from the servers. I disabled the integrations I'd personally maintained. I logged out of the third-party services where I was listed as the primary account holder. Then I did something even more important. I contacted our business bank and filed a formal notice of ownership dispute regarding the company name and assets. I included copies of the trademark registration, the original partnership agreement, and documentation of my financial investment. The effect was immediate and catastrophic. The $5 million retail contract included a standard clause requiring clear legal ownership of all intellectual property and brand assets. When the legal department at the retail chain was notified of an active ownership dispute, they immediately suspended the contract pending resolution. Suspended, not canceled, just frozen. But frozen was enough. Within 6 hours, Pure Bloom's entire online operation was in freefall. The website was inaccessible. Order fulfillment stopped. Customer service emails went unanswered. The automated marketing systems went dark. My phone started ringing at 2 in the afternoon. Claire. I didn't answer. She called again, and again, and again. Then the text messages started, long paragraphs, pleading, confused, then angry, then pleading again. Mark, what's happening? The site is down. I can't access anything. Please call me back. This is insane. We need to talk. Call me. You're being childish. Fix this now. Please, I'm sorry. We can work this out. I responded to none of them. That evening, I received an email from Ethan Granger. The subject line read, "Legal consequences." The email was exactly what I expected. Threatening language. Vague mentions of lawsuits. Claims that I was sabotaging the business. Warnings that I'd lose everything if I continued down this path. I replied with a single sentence. I look forward to hearing from your attorney. Then I sent my own legal notice. A cease and desist letter, drafted by a corporate attorney I'd quietly retained 2 weeks earlier, demanding that Claire immediately stop representing herself as the owner of Pure Bloom and cease all business operations using the brand name until the ownership dispute was legally resolved. The next morning, flowers arrived at my apartment building. 24 roses. The card read, "Let's talk like adults. Please. Claire." I threw them in the trash. By day 3 of the shutdown, Claire showed up at my apartment. I watched her through the door camera. She knocked. She waited. She knocked again. She tried calling my phone while standing outside my door. I could hear it ringing in the other room. I didn't open the door. She finally left after 20 minutes. That same afternoon, I received a call from an unknown number. I answered. "Mark, this is David Brennan. I'm an attorney representing Claire Donovan regarding the Pure Bloom business matter. I'd like to discuss a resolution." "I have an attorney," I said. "Have your client contact mine. The information is in the cease and desist letter." "Mark, let's be reasonable here. You're destroying a viable business over a personal dispute." "No," I said calmly. "I'm protecting my intellectual property and my financial investment. There's nothing personal about it. Your wife is willing to offer you a settlement, a fair one. My wife sent me an email telling me I was off the team 2 days after we signed the biggest contract of our lives. If she wants to discuss anything, she can do it through proper legal channels. I hung up. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for 2 weeks later. I arrived with my attorney and a banker's box full of documentation, emails, code repositories, financial transaction records, trademark certificates, the original partnership agreement, screenshots of my contributions to the business, testimonials from vendors and contractors who'd worked with me directly. Claire arrived with her attorney and Ethan Granger. The judge reviewed the initial filings, then looked up at Claire's attorney. "Counselor, your client is operating a business under a trademark registered to the plaintiff. Is that correct?" "Your Honor, Mrs. Donovan was under the impression that the trademark was registered jointly. Impression isn't relevant. Registration is a matter of public record. Was it registered jointly?" A pause. "No, Your Honor." The judge turned to Claire. "Mrs. Donovan, did you register this trademark?" Claire's voice was quiet. "No, Mark did." "Did you authorize him to register it on your behalf?" "I thought it was a formality. I didn't think it mattered who registered it." The judge's expression didn't change. "It matters. It matters significantly." He reviewed more documents. Then he looked at Claire's attorney again. "Your client also cannot demonstrate primary authorship of the digital infrastructure, cannot produce evidence of financial investment equal to or greater than the plaintiff's, and cannot provide a single document showing independent ownership of the business assets. Is that accurate?" "Your Honor, Mrs. Donovan built the brand. She is the face of Pure Bloom." The judge cut him off. "Being the face of a brand is not the same as owning it. Without clear intellectual property ownership, she doesn't have the legal standing to operate under this name. This is straightforward trademark law." I watched Claire's face. She was crying. Quietly, but unmistakably, the judge issued a temporary injunction. Claire was prohibited from using the Pure Bloom name, logo, or any associated branding until the ownership matter was fully adjudicated. She was also prohibited from fulfilling the retail contract or engaging in any business operations using my intellectual property. Ethan Granger didn't say a single word during the entire hearing. When we left the courtroom, he was already gone, and within weeks he'd disappeared from Claire's life entirely, moving on to his next target in Austin, where he apparently started coaching crypto entrepreneurs. The injunction was the beginning, not the end. I had no interest in dragging this out longer than necessary, but I also wasn't going to settle for anything less than what I deserved. I'd built Pure Bloom from the ground up. I'd invested my money, my time, my expertise, and I'd been discarded the moment I was no longer convenient. Now it was time to decide what came next. I could have destroyed everything. I could have let the business collapse completely, walked away, and watched Claire lose everything she'd worked for. Part of me wanted that. But revenge isn't about destruction. It's about justice. It's about making sure the person who wronged you understands exactly what they lost. So I did something better. I rebuilt. Within a week of the injunction, I began work on a new brand. I called it Bloom Forge. The name was intentional. It represented creation, transformation, strength. Everything Pure Bloom had been, but better. Evolved. I shifted the focus. Instead of targeting primarily women with organic skincare, I developed a line that was gender-neutral and male-focused. Natural ingredients, sustainable packaging, minimalist design. The kind of products that appealed to a younger, more diverse demographic. I reached out to 2 people who'd worked with me during the Pure Bloom days. Sarah Patel, a logistics coordinator who'd been quietly pushed out by Claire 6 months earlier. And Marcus Webb, a marketing strategist who'd quit after Ethan Granger dismissed his ideas in a meeting. Both of them said yes immediately. We worked fast. I already had the technical infrastructure. I just needed to rebrand it, refine it, and relaunch it. Sarah handled supplier relationships and fulfillment. Marcus built the marketing strategy. I managed everything else. 90 days after the injunction in late spring of 2025, we launched Bloom Forge. The response was immediate. We'd learned from every mistake Pure Bloom had made. Our packaging was better. Our messaging was sharper, our website was faster and more intuitive, and most importantly, our products were genuinely good. Within 3 months, we had consistent revenue. Within 6 months, we were profitable. And then something unexpected happened. I received an email from a buyer at a major retail chain. Not the chain that had frozen the Pure Bloom contract, their competitor. The email was direct. "We've been following Bloomforge's growth. We're interested in discussing a partnership. Would you be available for a meeting?" I was available. The meeting happened 2 weeks later at their corporate headquarters in Chicago. 3 executives, a senior buyer, and a contracts manager. They'd done their research. They knew about Pure Bloom. They knew about the legal dispute. They knew I'd been pushed out. The senior buyer, a woman named Catherine Liu, got straight to the point. "We're impressed with what you've built in such a short time frame," she said. "Bloomforge has a clear identity, strong branding, and the kind of growth trajectory we look for in partners. We want to bring your products into our stores nationwide." "What kind of scale are we talking about?" I asked. She slid a folder across the table. "Initial order of $6.2 million, with options for expansion based on performance." $6.2 million. More than the contract Claire had signed with her retail chain. More than everything we'd worked toward with Pure Bloom. I kept my expression neutral. "I'll need to review the terms with my team." "Of course, take your time. But Mark?" She leaned forward slightly. "We don't do business with people who can't deliver. You've proven you can. That's why we're here." I signed the contract 3 weeks later, in early September 2025. The news spread quickly in the industry. It's a small world, especially in natural cosmetics. Word got back to Claire within days. She called me. I didn't answer. She sent an email. Subject line: "Congratulations." The body of the email was short. "I saw the announcement about Bloomforge. You deserve it. I'm sorry for everything. I hope you can forgive me someday." I didn't respond, but I did send her something else. A formal legal notice drafted by my attorney, demanding that she immediately cease any use of visual elements, color schemes, package designs, or marketing materials that bore any resemblance to the original Pure Bloom brand, as all of those elements had been created by me and were now being repurposed under the Bloomforge trademark. Her social media accounts went dark within 48 hours. The half-functional website she'd tried to rebuild disappeared a week later. I learned through a mutual acquaintance that Claire had attempted to launch a new brand called Pure Elements. Different name, similar concept. She'd partnered with Ethan Granger again before he left, thinking they could replicate the success. It failed within 3 months. Turns out, when you don't have someone who actually knows how to build and run a business, branding and charisma only get you so far. She couldn't find reliable suppliers. Her website was clunky and slow. Her marketing was inconsistent, and without the credibility of a major retail contract, investors weren't interested. As for Claire, I have no idea what she's doing these days. I don't follow her on social media. I don't ask about her. I don't think about her. But sometimes I get messages on the Bloomforge social media accounts, anonymous comments, things like, "Love this brand. So glad I found you." Or, "Your products are incredible. Keep doing what you're doing." Some of them have a tone I recognize, a familiarity, a specific way of phrasing things. I'm almost certain a few of them are from her. I never respond to those either. Bloomforge is thriving now. We expanded into body care products last quarter. We're in over 800 stores nationwide. We've hired 12 full-time employees. Sarah is now the COO. Marcus is the VP of marketing. And I'm the CEO of a company I built from the ashes of betrayal. People ask me sometimes if I regret what happened, if I wish things had been different. The answer is no, I don't regret it. Because what happened taught me something essential. Love isn't measured by sacrifice, it's measured by reciprocity, by respect, by partnership. You can pour everything you have into someone else's dream, but if they don't value your contribution, if they don't see you as an equal, then you're not building something together. You're just being used. The real victory wasn't destroying Claire's business. It was realizing I didn't need her to succeed. I never did. I built Pure Bloom. I could build anything. And I did. Some people think revenge is about making the other person suffer. But that's not it. Real revenge is showing them that you're better off without them. That everything they took from you, everything they thought made them powerful, was never really theirs to begin with. It was always yours. And when they realize that, when they see you thriving while they're struggling, that's when they understand what they lost. That's the moment they know they made the biggest mistake of their life, and there's nothing they can do to undo it. I moved out of the apartment Claire and I had shared. It was time for a fresh start in every sense. I found a loft in downtown Denver, modern and minimalist, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city. The rent was $2,800 a month, which I could now easily afford. It was the kind of place I'd always wanted but never prioritized, because I was too busy investing in someone else's vision. Now, I was investing in my own. The divorce proceedings were straightforward. Claire didn't contest anything. She couldn't. The evidence was overwhelming, and her attorney had advised her that fighting would only cost her more money she didn't have. We settled out of court. She walked away with almost nothing from the business because, legally, she'd never owned it to begin with. I kept the trademark. I kept the intellectual property. I kept everything I'd created. She got to keep the furniture. There was a moment during the settlement meeting when our eyes met across the conference table. She looked tired, older. There was something in her expression I'd never seen before. Regret, maybe. Or just the hollow realization that she'd gambled everything on the wrong person and lost. I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no anger, no sadness. Just a quiet, complete indifference. That's when I knew I'd moved on. Bloomforge continued to grow. By the end of our first year, we'd exceeded every projection. The retail partnership expanded into a second phase, adding our products to premium locations in major metropolitan areas. We launched an online subscription service that brought in consistent monthly revenue. We started getting attention from industry publications. Forbes ran a feature on emerging brands in the natural cosmetics space. Bloomforge was included. The article quoted me, "Success isn't about having the loudest voice in the room. It's about building something that speaks for itself." I didn't mention Claire. I didn't mention Pure Bloom. I didn't mention any of it. Because that chapter was closed. Sarah and Marcus became more than employees. They became partners in the truest sense. We made decisions together. We shared profits fairly. We respected each other's expertise. It was everything my partnership with Claire should have been, but never was. One afternoon I was in the office reviewing quarterly reports when Sarah knocked on my door. "You have a visitor," she said. I looked up. "Who?" "She says her name is Claire." I felt a slight tightness in my chest. Not anxiety, just awareness. "Tell her I'm busy." Sarah hesitated. "She's been waiting for 2 hours. She says it's important." I considered sending her away, but curiosity won. 5 minutes. Claire walked into my office looking like a different person. She'd cut her hair short. She wore jeans and a plain sweater instead of the designer clothes she used to favor. "Thank you for seeing me," she said quietly. I didn't stand up. I didn't offer her a seat. "You have 5 minutes. I'm not here to ask for anything. I just wanted to say I'm sorry, really sorry, for all of it. Okay, I was wrong about everything, about pushing you out, about listening to Ethan, about thinking I could do it without you." Her voice cracked. I threw away the person who made everything possible. I leaned back in my chair. "You did." She nodded slowly. Tears formed in her eyes. "I know that now." "Good. I see what you've built here. It's incredible. That's because I built it with people who value what I bring to the table." She wiped her eyes. "Is there any chance?" "No." The word hung in the air. "Claire, you made a choice. You chose empty promises over 12 years of partnership. You chose to discard me the moment you thought you didn't need me. And now that it all fell apart, you want to come back? I know I don't deserve." "You're right, you don't." I stood up. "But here's the thing. I'm not angry anymore. I don't hate you. I don't think about you at all. You're just someone I used to know, someone who taught me an important lesson. And for that, I'm actually grateful." She stared at me. "Grateful?" "Yeah. Because if you hadn't betrayed me, I never would have built this. I never would have realized that I was the one with the real talent, the real vision, the real capability. So thank you for that wake-up call." She was fully crying now. "Mark, please, your 5 minutes are up." I walked to the door and opened it. Sarah was standing nearby, waiting. "Sarah, can you show our guest out?" Claire looked at me one more time. "I really am sorry." "I believe you," I said. "But sorry doesn't undo what you did. It just means you've realized the consequences." She walked out. I closed the door behind her and returned to my desk. I never saw her again. Looking back now, I realized that the worst thing Claire ever did to me was also the best thing. She forced me to stand on my own. She forced me to recognize my own value. She forced me to stop giving away my power to someone who didn't appreciate it. And in doing so, she gave me the greatest gift imaginable: freedom. Freedom to build on my own terms. Freedom to choose partners who respect me. Freedom to create something I'm genuinely proud of. Bloomforge isn't just a business. It's proof that you don't need someone who betrayed you. It's proof that the real strength was inside you all along. It's proof that sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's construction. Building something so successful, so undeniable, so fundamentally better than what you had before, that the person who wronged you can't help but see it, can't help but know that they had a chance to be part of something great, and they threw it away. That's the revenge that lasts. Not anger, not bitterness, not hatred, just success. Quiet, undeniable, permanent success. And the knowledge that you didn't need them after all. I still get those anonymous messages sometimes on social media. The ones I'm pretty sure are from Claire. They're always supportive, always kind, always just a little too familiar. I don't respond, but I don't block them either. Because I want her to see every new milestone, every expansion, every achievement, every moment of success that she could have shared but chose to abandon. That's not cruelty. That's just truth. She made her choice, and now she gets to live with it. As for me, I walk through life now with a clarity I never had before. I know what I'm worth. I know what I'm capable of. And I know that I'll never again sacrifice myself for someone who doesn't value the sacrifice. Love is partnership. Business is partnership. Life is partnership. And if someone can't see your value, if they can't respect your contribution, if they think they're better off without you, let them find out the hard way that they're wrong. Because the best revenge isn't making them suffer. It's making them realize what they lost. And by then, it's already too late. If you enjoyed this story, like this video and leave a comment telling me what you thought. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, please subscribe and hit the notification bell to get alerts for new stories like this one. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.